This is FilmWise Retro Edition. Super Mario Brothers Pichi Mina Kasumen Dai Sakusen. Or just call it, or it's The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach. And this movie was directed by Masami Hata. This movie was released July 20th, 1986. And the only available copies of the movie happen to only exist on VHS. And the VHS is extremely rare, it's very hard to find, and it's only in Japanese. But from what I found out, you can watch the movie on YouTube. Just write the title of the movie and pretty much you can just find it. You can find it in English subtitles, but it's still going to be in Japanese. So what's the story of this movie? Well, the story is pretty much simple as the video games. It's nothing really too much new. It's Mario Brothers trying to save Princess Peach. Not much is different. Although, it's actually kind of, trying to make it do a story. So from what I've get so far, here's what happens. It seems like Mario is in the real world, but in that point, they go into the Famicom world. Well, obviously it's the NES in America, but they enter into the Famicom through going through a magic portal into the pipes. So yeah, the movie's very faithful to the video games. It has all the power-ups, the characters you know from the game. Although there are some things that it does have some problems, but they're also good things. Now let me talk about the good aspects. The good aspects of the movie is, of course, it follows the video game. It's the simple, straight story of the Mario Brothers trying to save the day, and it's so good. The animation is very basic. It's anime, but it kind of doesn't look anime-ish. It looks a little bit, American animation, but for some reason it kind of has that anime feel through some parts in the movie. But obviously this was back in the 80s, so it's not going to be completely perfect. And also there are a few animation flaws in the movie, but I still say the animation is good enough for the whole movie. The Mario Brothers, I do like that there is some kind of small personalities and actually good personalities in the Mario Brothers. Mario has, the simple determination of being the leader. He's trying to rescue Princess Peach, but there's a little bit more to it than that. There's like this goal that he's trying to bring into the movie. Luigi, I kind of had some issues with, because they tried to this was before they ever introduced Wario, but I feel like they were trying to make the Luigi character into more of a greedy person, because throughout the movie he's like grabbing money and pretty much he's just getting all the money to become rich, but it's pretty simple and basic. I mean, it's not overboard. He still cares about his brother like he always does, and he's still that very scared weakling that he's still trying to be. But I feel that he's much smarter than Mario in this movie. That's one thing I do have to say. There are some great humor in this movie. I mean, it's not great humor, but it is good humor. I mean, the humor in the movie definitely has some good moments, and I do feel that pars with the characters in the movie. Bowser in the movie is very, very funny. There's something very funny about him in a good way. And probably there's something very funny about him. And now, if you're expecting Princess Peach to be any different compared to the video games, like, is she pretty much the same? Yeah, she's pretty much the same damsel in distress. We've pretty much gone through the games. This is before the first game came out. So, the first game came out and pretty much they made the movie. It's not like any too different. It's not like too different from what she is now. Like, there's a little bit more difference to she in the games now, but yeah, it's much of the basic Mario Brothers. Okay, now let me talk about the bad aspect. Now, the bad aspect of the movie is that it has some issues with the animation. Like, there's a lot of animation flaws, but not like ones that you would notice, but they're like 20 of them in the movie, but it's not very noticeable. Like, I've noticed them, like some you're gonna notice, but like it's not very noticeable. But there's like a couple of animation flaws because, you know, this was very simple animation. The one thing I do want to tell people before they probably would want to see this movie just out of curiosity is that you're probably going to be wondering, why is Luigi blue? I actually have an answer for that, because in the original Super Mario Bros. Arcade, they didn't have official colors for the Mario Brothers yet. Mario, in the original Mario Bros. Arcade, he was kind of this reddish bluish, but Luigi was blue and green and yellowish. Blue and yellowish. So that's pretty much the color scheme they went with in the movies, except this was when the first game came out, but then I guess they didn't follow up on Luigi's color when the first Super Mario Brothers game came out, so they stick with the color from the original Mario Brothers. Now, but still, it's pretty much still Luigi. There's not too much of a difference with it. Also, I do have an issue with some of the voice acting. I mean, this was before Mario had a voice. This was before Super Mario 64. But I can tell you that it's in Japanese, but I feel that some of the voices for the Japanese characters do not match very well. I also do have to say that the animation again, there are some issues with it. Like, sometimes when a character is speaking, somehow the lip movement comes a little bit late or a little bit too soon. That's kind of a big flaw in it, but you know, it's probably only happened 1 or 2 times, but I can feel that it's just, you know, it's just pretty simple. It's just pretty simple. I mean, this was back in the 80s, so I still just have to understand. It's just, you know, it was very old anime, so it wasn't completely perfect at that time. What I also don't like is that some of this, like, one thing I forgot to mention one thing, that when you see the movie, you will recognize the many sound effects from the Mario Brothers video games. There are many good recognizable sound effects, but I feel that the sound effects are used into the advantage of the movie and also not into the advantage of the movie, because, like, you know, when they go underwater, you hear like the melody da, 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 da. But in some parts of the movie, when they go underwater, the sound effect is just gone. It's like it's not playing anymore. Also, some sound effects are not used into its advantage. Also, another thing, the character designs obviously fit perfectly from the video game, but some things are a little bit different. Like the toads, there are different kinds of toads in the movie. Like, there's the toad. Okay, so some of the designs of the toads are a little bit off. Like, I feel like they were trying to make them more into people than really into like the toads like in the video game, but they just look odd. They just look really odd sometimes, but that doesn't really, I mean, it's just a nitpick of mine. So, my final verdict, I think actually this movie, it's better than the live action movie in every way, and it's not too long either. This movie is around like an hour and a minute long, and it's definitely a very, very enjoyable movie. You're gonna get some good laughs out of it. It follows the games very well, and I think it's probably the only good, at least good, you know, Mario Brothers movie. Like, if you want to see a Mario Brothers film, I can suggest this could be a film that's actually pretty good to see. Okay, that's my review on Retro Edition. Black Belt Dragon, signing out, and I'll see you on my next Retro FilmWise. But actually, I'm pretty much going to do it FilmWise next. So yeah, see you later. And my final verdict, I give this movie a solid B. See you next time.